Hey guys, my name is Vince. Before I get into great detail in this video, I just want to say thank you to anyone who's clicked on it. I realize just how valuable your time is, and I plan to make the most of it by explaining my products in great detail. So that being said, I do hope that you stay till the end of the video. If not anything else, you'll leave here with a little bit more peace of mind, maybe even some questions to ask your future vinyl vendor. So to start off, just to let everybody know, all of the products that are in my store are manufactured in the USA. That's excellent for a lot of reasons. Of course, number one priority is that it supports our economy. But on top of that, all of my vinyl manufacturers are Fortune 500 companies that follow quality control guidelines of the U.S. standard, which means the products you're buying have a consistency rating that far exceeds that of what you'd get overseas. Now, I'm going to go into great detail with that because a lot of people think vinyl is vinyl. And I want to just paint you a picture, which I hear happens quite a bit. Again, if you deal in this industry, you've probably heard this story before. If you haven't, you're really going to learn something, or at least give you something to think about. You go on eBay. Here's a scenario. You go on eBay, like you are right now, and you're looking for vinyl to fit your printer. You found the vinyl. You think it sounds good. Price sounds good. You notice they're overseas, and I'm going to tell you how overseas vending works. Overseas vending, typically on eBay, is a Chinese seller who has a factory. It's the direct factory selling to the consumer. Okay? Now, that's why their pricing is so cheap. Of course, there's no middlemen, there's no overhead. It is the way it is. The problem with quality control in China is that typically it does not follow U.S. standards in the sense that in China, when they run a product into factory, what they typically do is run the product, especially with vinyl, they'll run the media, and they may run a couple hundred feet, it looks good, and then they let it go at that. They'll run 100 feet, it looks okay, we're going to keep going with a couple thousand feet an hour, and we'll let it go at that. The problem is this. By the time it reaches the customer, let's say you order 10 sheets of a specific grade of vinyl. You get the 10 sheets, they physically look good, you peruse them, everything looks pretty much normal, and then as you get to the last 2 sheets, you find out that you print on them. The first sheet that you print on, you notice the printing just isn't right, the clarity is off, or something just doesn't match the rest of the vinyl. And then on the last sheet, you notice that the adhesion of the vinyl is just totally off, something's amiss. So you think you got 2 bad sheets. So what do? You logically contact the vendor. The vendor then says, hey, you know what, pal? I'll send you 2 more sheets in the next order you place with me. Well, that sounds nice. The problem is that now you're behind on your work. Okay, that's the first problem. You have to wait for the shipping ETA, which typically is a week to 2 weeks to a month. On top of the fact that then you're taking another risk and saying, okay, I'm going to lay out more money and hope that I get 10 more sheets on top of the 2 that you owe me that are going to be usable with no problems. Okay, I've had people do this scenario numerous times. The problem is, now those are some problems, but the internal problem is, just to give you a little of my background, I've been in manufacturing for 18 years, full-scale manufacturing for 18 years in engineering. So I'm going to tell you what is hidden that most people don't think about with a raw material like this, is the fact that if you ordered those 10 sheets and you have 2 that are bad, odds are those other 8 came off that same roll where those 2 bad ones did, which means that can have that domino effect and carry over into those other sheets that just may not be visual yet. Meaning you may apply that vinyl to your substrate and it looks great until 2 weeks or a month go by, and then you have problems, and then you have people calling you or your project looks like crap. So really you want to think overall when you're purchasing a raw material like this, because media is totally different than most material in that certain things about it, when you're dealing with vinyl, you're dealing with a liner, you're dealing with the substrates that make the vinyl, you're dealing with the adhesives on the vinyl. There's a lot of components there that we don't really think about. So take that into consideration when you're deciding to take a risk and order overseas, because these are the hidden things that can bite you and typically do when you're getting those ultra good deals. Vinyl, quality vinyl, you're going to pay for it. There's no doubt, and there's a reason you pay for it, because you're getting that peace of mind that I'm getting something that I can produce a product on or a project and it come out the right way. So take that into mind and always, think ahead, so to speak. So now that you have a better understanding of what U.S. actually made, or U.S. made actually means with vinyl, I'm going to start covering the products in as much detail as possible. Again, if I do miss something, don't be afraid of messaging me. Guys, I take my business very seriously. I'm one of the few, I think, on eBay that still do. I think you'll realize that if you do get in touch with me, I'll try to answer all your questions within 2 hours. The other factor I want to discuss is what vinyl I look at supporting, meaning what machines do I actually look at supporting with my vinyl. Typically, large-scale format printing there's tons of shops to buy large-scale format rolls, industrial rolls, and so to speak. I deal with more medium-sized large format printing. They call them large format. I call them medium-sized. More like the printers, the Epsons, the Canons, the HPs that deal with 13 by 19, 13 by 24. My vinyl is all basically built around that. So if you're looking at an inkjet, aqueous type print media in that size, get with me, and I'm sure I can fulfill whatever need you need as far as size, even if it's not listed yet. I'm still trying to update most of my stores, so please bear with me. I do run 2 businesses. This is my second, so I'm trying to get this up to speed. So with that being said, I'm just going to jump in right now and start covering some of the products. Okay. First, we have here our over laminate. Now, a lot of videos are online about over laminate as far as what they are and what they do. I'm just going to cover really. I'm not going to get into too much detail as far as what they do. They really just protect whatever you've printed, whatever graphic or whatever label you've made. They really just protect it at a physical level. So if you think in terms of you don't want scratches on it, you don't want problems with waterproof, moisture, you're really looking at applying a proper over laminate because it's going to definitely protect your media at a professional grade level. That being said, it's going to cost more to produce your product because, of course, now you're producing it with more of a professional level, so again, you have a very, very durable product when you use over laminate. This over laminate, again, is 4 mil. It's clear, it's glossy. It will enhance your prints slightly. It's got a very, very high gloss finish to it. I'm trying to see if I can catch it with the light. There you go. You can really see just how glossy this is. It's actually pretty heavy. It's about 4.5 mil, so that breaks down to about 4.5 thousandths in thickness. It's a very, very durable vinyl, and again, if you really are going to use anything outside, this is the over laminate to use. And why is that? Because you want to protect all of your inks from ultraviolet rays. Ultraviolet rays will destroy inkjet ink as well as other inks. I mean, honestly, there's not many inks that will hold up to the sun. When you use a really good quality over laminate, you're going to get years of use out of it. So I'm telling you now, this will transform inkjet ink and make it very, very durable. And again, on all levels, both physical and protection from UV rays. So think like that. It does feature a removable adhesive, which the removable adhesive is really cool if you're using it on a solid substrate and you want to remove it. The thing to take into consideration is I would never use this on vinyl and try to remove it. If you do try to remove it on vinyl, odds are you're going to leave marring on the surface from the actual glue adhesive. So keep that in mind. The big thing here is that you get the actual functionality of it if you do apply to a solid substrate. Let's say you apply to a computer case or something and you want to peel it up, it's not going to do any damage. So that's really what you're overall looking at. One of the best uses for this material, and I just want to give out some advice, if you have electronic devices, computers, cell phones, anything, tablets, all those, that huge market right there of electronics, this film is absolutely amazing for screen protectors. Screen protectors in terms of mouse pads, palm rests, screen protecting. I'd be a little more hesitant on the actual screen itself because the glue is kind of tough. But I will say this, it is possible. I do have customers that do use it for screen protecting. Most people that put it on never take it off. I don't know why you would ever want to take it off. It really just adds a level of protection. And once again, it is virtually very, very clear. It's virtually transparent. You do have a slight opaqueness due to the actual adhesive, but overall, I use this on all my electronics. I love it on my laptop because it does protect everything on your palm rest, your mouse pad. You don't have to worry about wear. So on top of it being excellent for graphics in general or any type of prints you do, it is absolutely amazing for protective material on any type of electronics. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to move right along now. Once again, this material right now, this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet. I can cut this virtually in any size you need. I would just need to know exactly what size you require, but I can get this in any size you need. And this can also be cut on plotters. If you do have any questions with that, I get that question quite frequently. You can easily cut this on, I would say just about every plotter I've ever worked with would have no problem cutting this. So just moving on to the next product. Same material. This is a 12 by 12 sheet. You can see you get a lot more coverage. You can definitely see in this picture just how glossy this is. And like I said, it does enhance your print slightly. It'll really make that a really crisp image as far as when you're printing, especially on our glossy film. So I'm just going to move right along now. That's just a larger sheet of the over laminate. Here is one of my newer materials. Here's a matte vinyl. Okay, now matte vinyl, and this is a 12 by 12, the sheet's kind of massive. Matte vinyl is a very bright textured, it has a very light texture to it, vinyl. It's excellent for labeling. I have a lot of crafters that love this for labeling products. It's extremely durable, it is waterproof. Again, when vinyls are labeled as waterproof, and I can't emphasize this enough, take into account that the vinyl substrate may be labeled as waterproof, but your inks may not be. I always think in the worst case scenario because of my background in manufacturing, so I always will say this. If you're printing and you really want that image to last and be durable, regardless of whether it be an inkjet or a pro grade large scale printing format, I always use an over laminate. This way you never have to worry, and you know when it's done right, that image will last, and you will be producing, like I said, at a professional level. That way the durability will be there, and you'll never have to worry about moisture. So even though you're looking at a waterproof vinyl, always take that into consideration. A lot of vendors kind of mislead people. I don't think they're intentionally doing it, but when you say something is waterproof, people think, okay, I can submerge it, and I'm good. The problem is that you have to remember there's a bunch of raw materials you're using to get a product. Most people don't think like that, but this is just media. This is just your base. Your ink is also a product, component of that product. So you really have to think about, is that ink going to have a problem? Even though the substrate is waterproof, is the ink going to have a problem of being waterproof? So that's why I say protecting it makes the most sense. Overall, matte vinyl, super bright vinyl. Once again, slightly textured, permanent grade adhesive. Permanent grade adhesive, guys, when you hear that term, the thing about permanent grade adhesive is you have to remember that once you apply this to your surface, within 24 hours that adhesive sets. Odds are if you go to remove it off the substrate, you're going to damage the substrate that it's been applied to. So keep that in mind. It may not be what your intention is. They do sell quick release vinyl if you're looking at temporary type applications. This is more for permanent applications. The clarity on this when you print is crisp. It's certainly not going to be as crisp as a glossy vinyl because it's a film. Glossy vinyl is more of a film, and this is more of a traditional vinyl. It stands at about 4.5 mil in thickness, so that's 4.5 thousandths. Again, the quality of this is impeccable, and you just want to really make sure you're using this for the right application. If you're doing straight labeling, especially really heavy contrast colors, blacks, reds, yellows, they really stand out nice on this. And again, it just depends on your application. I have a lot of crafters that love this for doing labeling on their products, their jars, stuff like that. It just really is nice. And again, it really fits if you're not looking for that really polished look of glossy. It's amazing. If you do a lot of antiquing, this is a super material. I do have some women that even paint it. They'll actually, make it look older than what it is. It's a super vinyl for accepting paints because of that. It's got that slight texture to it. So just keep in mind of what we're buying. And again, I'm going to just keep moving on now because you've got a pretty good explanation of that. We've got the 8.5 version of that. Once again, I can accommodate virtually any size medium printer. So if you guys say, hey, I need a cut done at 8.5 by 11, again, my crafters love this size. This is like the best size for them because it fits virtually all those little Cricut cutters and what else is there? The hobby type inkjet printers. So these really work really well in them. And again, if you need a special size, don't be afraid to ask. Every now and then you might want, an 11 by 11 or a 6x10. I've had guys want 6x10. I can do that for you as well. Again, to give you a fee on that, usually most of my cut fees, if it's a one-time cut, it'll be one thing. The more cuts we do, I'll try to keep it reasonable. I mean, again, my time is valuable, but this stuff is very simple to do, so I'll try to keep it as reasonable as possible. I'm moving on to the next product. Now this one is one of my best sellers, and you can just see here, I'm trying to zoom in on this gloss. This is a glossy white vinyl. This is amazing, this product, and why I love it so much, it's one of the few products that when you print on it, it tends to really make your prints iridescent. It's so clear, it's such a light film. It's about 3.5 mil in thickness. It's just amazing at the effect that it gives your prints. If you're doing graphics work, sticker work, this is the vinyl to go with. It's just amazing, and especially when you, I don't know, again, who I'm talking to, but hopefully you guys are aware of calibrating your monitor for color calibration and probably calibrating your printers. If you're not aware of that, look online on that. I can even cover the process if you message me. But it will definitely help you really get them colors to pop. But this vinyl is truly the source. If you like really, really reflective type material where you're getting that brightness, this is the vinyl to use. If you use the over laminate on this, which I recommend, you are going to have a product that will make an amazing bumper sticker or anything for external use. You will have an amazing product. You want to definitely take your time when you're applying, of course, the over laminate to this, that you don't get bubbles. You want to take your time, go slow, and make sure that you follow the proper procedure to apply it. But overall, this is an amazing material. Again, I have everybody buy this. This is really not just for one person. I've had factories buy this. I've had crafters buy it, hobbyists buy it. It's just an amazing material all the way around. And once again, it does have the permanent based adhesive, and it's waterproof. So again, we know that the material is waterproof. Once again, I reiterate, I would still use an over laminate just to make sure that that ink is sealed in and you'll never have to worry, then you'll be good. So I'm going to just move on right now. Again, this is the 1212. Custom sizes are available. Just message me. Here's our new one, the 8.5 by 11. I've been getting a lot of requests on this. Same material, just 8.5 by 11. Again, certain sizes you may want. If you're doing a project that only requires certain size sheets, or you want to demo a project. If you guys come up with an idea for a product, I always recommend buying smaller sheets. You can always get bigger later on. If it's successful or you want to test things, that's the best thing to do. Again, it's really up to the end user, but 8.5 by 11, these fit right directly into 99.9% of the inkjet printers, and when you're using aqueous inks, these just really pop. HP inks are amazing, Canon inks are amazing, Epson is off the chart. I mean, as far as clarity, it's just amazing. So it really, once again, you're pretty much covering the gambit as far as inkjet media for glossy vinyl. This is it. I mean, the pinnacle of adhesive with this as well. And now this one is one of my newer products, last but not least. I really love this product. This is our clear glossy vinyl. Okay, now this is 8.5 by 11 clear glossy vinyl, and what's so special about this is that it's virtually transparent until you print on it. And if you're using darker colors or you're doing labeling, women that do crafting love this vinyl, and I'll tell you why. Typically, if you were to do a text image, okay, and you don't have a plotter, you'd have to trim around the text, and it would be kind of messy because you'd have all that white surrounding border. On this, if you do a text and you do a print, being she's virtually perfectly clear except for that slight opaqueness from the actual adhesive, when you cut around it, if you keep it close to the text, it'll look virtually perfectly cut on your substrate. So it makes it very easy if you don't have a cutter or you're doing graphics for your own products, but you want to have, again, the precision of the inkjet print and still have an easy to apply, or I should say an easy to cut product. This is really what you're looking at as far as media. Even for really complex shapes, I use this all the time. If you have a really complex shape, and let's say you know you're not going to be able to do a bleed properly on the graphic, this comes in super handy because you can leave a little bit of an edge and your graphic will come out perfect. Okay, this more replicates probably what you've seen as what come in model kits. I don't know how familiar you are, but as far as it not being water slide but being adhesive based, where you have that clear pattern, that clear film, this is really what you're looking at. A lot of guys in hobbies use this all the time for their models. It works amazing. Again, it does have specific applications. If you're doing a lot of lighter inks, it's not the best film to use because it'll become transparent. If you're doing yellows and silvers and whites, of course white will be transparent. We don't print in white. So just keep that in mind as far as what you're using it for. But if you're doing labeling in black or darker colors, red, if you want it to be see-through. Some guys don't mind if it's see-through. I have some women that love it being see-through with the yellows. They love the color it produces. It's amazing. And you can use the over laminate with this as well, and I do recommend it. This film is not classified as waterproof. So again, the only contingency on that is you would not have a problem with it being used in a waterproof application if you use the over laminate. The adhesive will always be bonded to the substrate, so you never really have to worry about water with that. What you actually have to worry about is moisture getting into your image. That's what will actually destroy your image, and UV rays, if it's outside, of course, consistent UV exposure will fade the image, and that's what we're looking to actually reduce. There is no way to completely eliminate it, but we're trying to do it at such a degree that it will make it much more durable, and you'll get a really nice, healthy lifespan out of whatever product you're going with. So overall, again, you've got the gamut. I mean, with this clear vinyl, there's between the clear, the glossy, the matte, and the sizes I'm offering, you can virtually manufacture whatever you'd like on your inkjet. Again, it's just finding that right substrate for the product you're going with. I cannot emphasize, if you guys have questions, message me. I'd rather answer your question, right the first time and cover it in detail so you know what you can produce better, and we can go from there. If you want to do a larger quantity order, smaller quantity order, we can do that as well. I'll try to accommodate you any way I can. The big thing here is, is keep in mind I'll do my best on the pricing. Being the quality is what it is, I can only go so low too because I do have to make money. This is a business. But the big thing is that we work together, and like I said, we'll put our heads together and find out what really fits your application needs. So don't be afraid of messaging me. I'm not a seller that, I'm not a direct flip seller like I stated with the overseas sellers. I like to talk to my customers. I think that's the way we really work together the best. On top of that, I want to finish this video with something a little different. I've seen a ton of videos on vinyl and a ton of videos on applying vinyl and doing different things. One of the things that never I've seen really discussed when you're using printable vinyl is how to handle it and what to use around that vinyl. And let me explain what I mean by that. When you're dealing with printable vinyl, you should treat that substrate like you're actually handling a paintable object. If you think in terms of painting all really comes to fruition when you do all the proper prep work. Well, with vinyl, it's kind of the same thing when you're printing on it. You want to make sure that the area you keep that vinyl is scratch-free. You don't want to put it in areas that can get scratched. You never want to lay it on its face. You never want to put your fingers directly on any area you're printing on. Vinyl, when you're using it for printing on, it's very, very tricky in that sense because any particulates you get on it, debris, dust, all of that plays a role in the quality of the print, especially if you're doing an over laminate. You never want to have debris on there. You'll see it. I like using microfiber as a base. It works really well. It doesn't scratch. It's cheap. You can put it on wherever you're working, and you're going to get a lot more out of your vinyl. It'll stay nicer. It's just the right way to do it. Another thing I recommend highly is getting yourself a bright light. Preferably an overhead lamp, those flexible gooseneck lamps. Those work really, really nice. They do sell the graphic design lamps. They work really good. The closer and the brighter the white light is, the more natural you're going to see that vinyl in, and it'll reflect any of impurities that you may see. So what you're really looking for is to make sure your vinyl's clean. This way, whenever you feed it through your machine, the printer's clean and everything is set with that, of course, and you're going to get a really, really nice image. So that's something to take into account. And again, handling it, if you're grabbing it, and I'll show you what I mean, if you're grabbing it, you never want to naturally put your hands here. You always want to handle it on the edges. You're never going to cut on these edges, typically, unless you're doing it by hand, but if you're using it with a plotter, These are the safest edges to go with anywhere where you preferably don't plan on printing. You can also wear gloves. Some people, I do have some women that like to use latex gloves because it keeps it really pristine. You're fine with doing that as well, as long as there's no powder on the glove. But overall, always handle it like you're handling a paintable surface. You know, you want to handle it with extreme care and no creasing, of course, and just don't be rough with it and naturally never turn it on its face. Again, microfiber is a great thing to stay with, and you're good there. The next thing I would say, and to complete the video, is to let you guys know that if you do have a specific product you're looking for, not necessarily in size, but a specific product, let me know and I'll do my best to accommodate you. I'm trying to get the store up to date as far as the different products, and there's so many different medias now available for inkjet printing that I'm trying to get as many as that make sense, because there's some that make sense and some that don't really, unless you have a very, very specific need. If there's something that you think you want and you want me to look into it, I'll definitely do that and see what I can come up with. I'm trying to stay with the more popular ones, the ones that I see are being used and the ones that work excellently, and that's really where I'm trying to go with this. So once again, I do appreciate everybody's time. If you do have any questions, you can message me. I'm Vince, or my girlfriend Joanna. She will probably answer you as well. And I look forward to hearing from you and serving you. Take care. Thank you.